There's a strange kind of peace that begins when you stop holding on so tightly, not by giving up, but by allowing yourself to release the constant need to control. It's a quiet freedom, one that removes the invisible tension you've been carrying for so long. Because here's the truth most people overlook. The pain you feel isn't always caused by what's happening, but by how much you're trying to keep it from changing. You don't lose things because you let go. You lose energy, clarity, and peace by clinging. Look at your life, the job, the person, the identity you're protecting. They drain you when they become something you believe you can't lose. But what if letting go isn't failure? What if it's wisdom in its purest form? What if everything begins to fall into place the moment you stop forcing it? If you've ever felt like you're trying your best and still feel stuck, anxious, or unseen, this is meant for you. Stay with me because there's a final lesson that may completely shift how you see your life. 1. The quiet weight of holding on. There is a kind of exhaustion that doesn't come from doing too much, but from holding on too tightly. You may not even notice it at first. It disguises itself as responsibility, as ambition, as care. You tell yourself, I just need to try a little harder. I just need to figure this out. I can't let this fall apart. And so you hold on. You hold on to the relationship even when it feels like it's slowly slipping away. You hold on to the plan even when life keeps redirecting you. You hold on to the version of yourself you thought you had to become. And the tighter you hold, the heavier everything feels. But here is something rarely spoken out loud. Not everything that feels important is meant to be carried forever. Sometimes, the weight you feel is not because life is too hard, but because you are trying to carry what was never yours to hold. Pause for a moment. Think about what you are holding on to right now. Is it a specific outcome, a person's approval, a fear of what might happen if you let go? Now ask yourself gently, not with judgment, but with honesty. Is holding on to this bringing you peace or taking it away? Because often we confuse attachment with safety. We believe that if we just hold on tightly enough, we can prevent loss, prevent change, prevent pain. But life does not work that way. Life moves, it shifts, it transforms. And when you resist that movement, you feel it as tension. In Buddhist wisdom, this tension has a simple root: attachment. Not because caring is wrong, but because clinging creates suffering. There is a difference between holding something with open hands and gripping it with fear. One allows life to breathe, the other suffocates it. Imagine holding water in your hands. If your palms are open, the water rests gently there. But if you clench your fists, it slips through your fingers. This is how life works. The more you try to control it, the more unstable it feels. The more you allow it, the more it begins to settle. And yet, letting go feels frightening, because it raises a question you may not want to face. If I stop holding everything together, what will happen? The mind immediately answers with fear. Everything will fall apart. You will lose what matters. You will regret it. But is that true? Or is that just the voice of control, trying to keep you inside a familiar pattern? Letting go does not mean abandoning your life. It means releasing the illusion that you must control every part of it. It means trusting that not everything requires your force. Sometimes the most powerful shift happens not when you try harder, but when you soften, when you stop gripping and start allowing. You may notice something subtle when you do this: a small sense of relief, a quiet space opening inside you. That space is not emptiness, it is freedom, and from that freedom, clarity begins to arise. You begin to see things as they are, not as your fear projects them to be. You realize that some things were never meant to stay, some paths were never meant to continue, some versions of you were never meant to last forever. And that realization, while uncomfortable at first, becomes deeply peaceful. Because you no longer feel responsible for forcing life into a shape it doesn't want to take. You begin to move with it instead of against it. So ask yourself, not urgently, but gently, what am I still holding on to that is quietly exhausting me? And what might happen if I allowed myself to loosen my grip, even just a little? 2. The illusion of control. Control feels safe. It gives you the sense that if you just think enough, plan enough, manage enough, you can shape life into something predictable, something secure. But look closely at your experience. Has control really given you peace? Or has it given you tension, disguised as responsibility? The mind loves control because it fears uncertainty. It wants guarantees. It wants to know that things will work out, that people will stay, that outcomes will match expectations. And so it creates strategies, overthinking, planning every detail, replaying conversations, trying to anticipate every possible future. But here is the paradox. The more you try to control life, the more unstable it begins to feel. Because life, by its nature, cannot be fully controlled. It is constantly moving. People change, situations evolve, unexpected things happen. And when your sense of peace depends on controlling those things, you are left constantly adjusting, constantly worrying, constantly bracing for impact. This is not peace. This is quiet anxiety. In Buddhist teaching, control is often seen as an illusion of the ego, not something wrong, but something limited. The ego believes that if it can just arrange everything perfectly, it can avoid suffering. But suffering doesn't come from life being unpredictable. It comes from resisting that unpredictability. Imagine trying to stop the wind. No matter how much effort you put in, it continues to move. Now imagine instead adjusting your posture to the wind. Suddenly, you are no longer fighting, you are responding. This is the shift from control to awareness. Control says, life must follow my plan. Awareness says, let me meet life as it unfolds. One creates tension, the other creates flexibility. And flexibility is where peace lives. You may believe that letting go of control means losing direction, but the opposite is often true. When you release the need to control everything, you begin to see more clearly, because your perception is no longer clouded by fear. You respond instead of react. You act from clarity instead of urgency. And something unexpected happens. Life begins to feel lighter, not because everything is perfect, but because you are no longer trying to force it to be. There is a quiet strength in this, the strength to say, I don't need to control everything to be okay. The strength to trust that even if things change, you will find your way. Ask yourself honestly, how much of your energy is spent trying to control things that are not truly in your hands? Other people's thoughts, future outcomes, timing, circumstances. Now imagine what your life would feel like if that energy was released, not suppressed, not ignored, simply released. You might notice space, space to breathe, space to think clearly, space to actually experience your life instead of constantly managing it. Letting go of control is not a single decision, it is a practice. A moment-by-moment awareness. Each time you feel yourself tightening, pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, is this something I can truly control? Or am I trying to control it because I'm afraid? That question alone can begin to shift everything, because awareness breaks the illusion. And once you see the illusion, you no longer have to live inside it. Control promises certainty, but what it often delivers is pressure. Letting go does not promise certainty, but it offers something far more valuable: peace within uncertainty. And that is where real freedom begins. 3. When overthinking becomes a cage. You may believe that thinking more will bring clarity, that if you just analyze the situation a little deeper, replay the conversation one more time, consider every possible outcome, you will finally feel certain. But notice what actually happens. The more you think, the less clear everything becomes. What once felt simple becomes complicated. What once felt manageable becomes overwhelming. And slowly, without realizing it, you are no longer solving the problem, you are circling it. Overthinking does not create clarity, it creates noise. It is like stirring a still lake with a stick, hoping to see your reflection more clearly. But the more you stir, the more distorted the image becomes. And so you keep stirring, believing the answer is just one more thought away. But it never arrives, because clarity does not come from adding more thoughts. It comes from allowing them to settle. In Buddhist understanding, the mind is often compared to a restless monkey, jumping from branch to branch, never still, always searching. This monkey mind is not your enemy. It is simply a habit, a pattern of trying to feel safe by predicting, controlling, and understanding everything. But there is a quiet truth hidden beneath that activity. Not every thought deserves your attention. Not every scenario needs to be explored. Not every fear needs to be solved. Some thoughts are simply echoes of past experiences or projections of imagined futures. They feel urgent, but they are not real, and when you follow them endlessly, you lose connection with what is actually here, this moment, your breath, your body, your life as it is, not as your mind imagines it. Have you ever noticed when clarity tends to appear, not when you are deeply thinking, but when you stop? In the shower, on a quiet walk, in a moment of stillness when you are no longer trying to figure everything out. That is not coincidence. That is what happens when the mind relaxes its grip. When you stop chasing answers, space opens, and in that space, insight arises naturally. But stillness can feel uncomfortable, because without constant thinking you are left with something else: feeling, uncertainty, discomfort, not knowing. And so the mind rushes back in, filling the silence with thoughts, not because it helps, but because it feels familiar. So the real question is not, how do I stop overthinking? But rather, am I willing to sit in the space where I don't have all the answers? Because that is where freedom begins. Try something simple the next time your thoughts begin to spiral. Pause. Do not follow them. Do not fight them. Just notice. Gently say to yourself, "This is just thinking." Then bring your attention back to your breath. Feel it as it moves in and out. At first, the mind will resist. It will try to pull you back into the loop. That is okay. You are not trying to force silence. You are practicing returning again and again. And slowly, something shifts. The thoughts lose their intensity. the urgency fades, and you begin to experience a quiet space between them. That space is not emptiness, it is awareness. And in that awareness, there is peace. Overthinking convinces you that more effort is needed, but often what is needed is less. Less interference, less resistance, less trying to control every outcome through thought. You do not need to solve your entire life in your mind. You only need to be present enough to take the next step. So ask yourself, are my thoughts helping me move forward, or are they keeping me in place? And what might happen if I allowed the noise to settle instead of feeding it? Because beneath the constant thinking, there is a quieter intelligence, a deeper knowing, but it cannot be heard until the noise begins to fade. 4. The subtle trap of caring. Too much caring is natural. It is part of being human. You care about people, about outcomes, about doing things well. And there is nothing wrong with that. But there is a point where caring quietly turns into something else, something heavier, something that begins to drain you instead of fulfill you. It happens slowly. You start taking responsibility for how others feel. You begin adjusting yourself to meet expectations. You put pressure on yourself to make everything work, to keep everything stable. And without noticing, your care becomes control. You are no longer just caring. You are carrying expectations, carrying emotional weight, carrying the belief that if you just do more, try harder, give more of yourself, things will finally feel right. But instead of peace, you feel tension. Instead of connection, you feel exhaustion. Because caring too much is often rooted not in love, but in fear. The fear of losing someone, the fear of being misunderstood, the fear of not being enough. So you compensate, you overgive, you over-explain, you overextend yourself, hoping that if you do everything right, you will feel secure. But security built this way is fragile, because it depends on things outside of you. Other people's reactions, other people's choices, other people's perceptions, and those things cannot be controlled. In Buddhist teachings, compassion is not about control, it is about presence, being with someone without trying to manage their experience, supporting without forcing, loving without clinging. There is a quiet strength in this kind of care. It does not demand, it does not pressure, it does not lose itself. But to reach that kind of care, you must first see where you are over-caring. Ask yourself honestly, am I helping, or am I trying to control the outcome? Am I supporting, or am I trying to fix everything? Am I giving freely, or am I giving in order to feel valued? These are not easy questions, but they reveal something important, that not everything is yours to carry. People have their own paths, their own lessons, their own timing. And when you try to take that on for them, you don't ease their journey, you interrupt it. At the same time, you exhaust yourself. There is a different way, a quieter way. You can care without controlling. You can love without losing yourself. You can support without taking responsibility for everything. It begins with boundaries, not harsh boundaries, but clear ones. The understanding that your energy is not unlimited, that your peace matters too, that saying no is sometimes an act of care, not rejection. Try this. The next time you feel the urge to step in, to fix, to manage, pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, is this truly mine to carry? If the answer is no, allow yourself to step back, not out of indifference, but out of respect for yourself and for the natural unfolding of life. You may feel discomfort at first, a sense of guilt or uncertainty. That is normal. It is the feeling of stepping out of an old pattern. But if you stay with it, something begins to shift. You feel lighter, more grounded, less entangled in things that are not yours, and your relationships begin to change too. They become less about control and more about connection, because real connection does not come from managing everything perfectly. It comes from being present as you are, without pressure, without performance, without losing yourself in the process. So ask yourself, where in my life am I caring so much that I am forgetting myself? And what would it feel like to care with openness instead of control? 5. Releasing the need for validation. There is a quiet habit that shapes much of your life, often without you noticing it. The need to be seen, to be approved of, to be told that you are enough. It does not always appear in obvious ways. Sometimes it is subtle. You adjust your words so others will agree. You hesitate to express what you truly feel. You measure your worth based on how others respond to you. And slowly, your sense of self begins to depend on something outside of you. Validation. At first it feels harmless, even motivating, but over time it becomes exhausting because approval is never stable. It shifts from moment to moment, from person to person. What is praised today may be questioned tomorrow, and if your worth is tied to that, your inner state becomes unstable too. You begin to live in quiet tension, always wondering, was that good enough? Did they like me? Did I say the right thing? This is not freedom, this is performance. In Buddhist wisdom, the search for external validation is seen as a form of attachment, not because connection is wrong, but because dependence creates suffering. When your identity relies on approval, you lose contact with your own truth. You begin to shape yourself based on expectations rather than authenticity. But there is another way, a quieter way. You can begin to return your sense of worth back to yourself, not through ego, but through awareness. Ask yourself, if no one was watching, would I still choose this? If no one reacted, would I still value what I am doing? These questions are not meant to isolate you. They are meant to reconnect you with something deeper, your own inner alignment. Because when your actions come from alignment rather than approval, something shifts. You feel steadier, less reactive, less dependent on how things are received. This does not mean you stop caring about others. It means you stop needing their approval to feel whole. And in that space, your relationships become more genuine. Because you are no longer performing, you are simply being. Try this practice. At the end of each day, instead of asking, what did others think of me? Ask yourself, was I honest? Was I present? Did I act in alignment with what felt true? Let those answers be enough. At first, the mind may resist. It may still seek external reassurance. That is okay. You are not trying to eliminate the need instantly. You are gently shifting its direction from outside to within. And over time, you may notice something surprising. The less you seek validation, the less you need it. Because you begin to feel secure in a different way. Not because everything is approved, but because you are no longer questioning your own worth. You are not waiting to be told you are enough. You begin to know it quietly, without needing to prove it. So ask yourself, how much of my life is shaped by the need to be accepted? And what might change if I allowed myself to stand in my own truth, even without approval. 6. The strength of the let it be mindset. There is a quiet strength in allowing things to be as they are, not because you have given up, but because you have stopped fighting what you cannot control. Most of the time, the mind is in resistance. It argues with reality. It says, "This shouldn't be happening. This needs to change. This is not how things were supposed to go." And in that resistance, tension is created, not by the situation itself, but by the refusal to accept it. The let it be mindset is not indifference. It is clarity. It is the understanding that peace does not come from forcing life to match your expectations, but from meeting life where it is. Imagine standing in the rain. You can resist it, complain about it, wish it were different, or you can simply acknowledge it. It is raining. In that acknowledgement, something relaxes. You are no longer fighting reality. You are responding to it. This is what letting it be feels like. It does not remove challenges, but it removes unnecessary suffering, because you are no longer adding resistance on top of what is already happening. Try this in your own life. The next time something does not go as planned, pause. Instead of reacting immediately, take a breath and say quietly, "This is what is happening right now." Notice how that changes your experience. There is less urgency, less pressure, more space to respond calmly. From that space, your actions become clearer, not driven by frustration, but guided by awareness. You begin to move with life instead of against it. And over time, this becomes a quiet form of strength, the ability to remain steady, even when things are uncertain. So ask yourself, what am I resisting right now? And what would happen if I allowed it to be just as it is? 7. You are not your thoughts. There is a quiet misunderstanding that shapes much of your inner world, and it is so subtle that you may have never questioned it. It is the belief that every thought that appears in your mind is true, that it defines you, that it deserves your attention and your reaction. But what if this is not the case? What if the thoughts you hear throughout the day are not a reflection of who you are, but simply patterns that have been repeated so often they feel like your identity? If you sit quietly for a moment and observe your mind, you may begin to notice something interesting. Thoughts appear on their own. You do not choose most of them. They arrive without invitation, one after another, commenting, judging, predicting, remembering, and just as they appear, they also disappear. Yet somewhere along the way, you learn to follow them, to believe them, to build your emotional state around them. This is where suffering begins, not because thoughts exist, but because you attach yourself to them as if they are absolute truth. A single thought can shift your entire day. One memory can pull you into regret. One imagined scenario can fill you with anxiety. And all of it feels real, even though nothing has actually happened in the present moment. In Buddhist understanding, the mind is not something to be controlled or silenced completely, but something to be understood. Thoughts are like clouds moving through the sky. They change shape, they gather, they disperse, but the sky itself remains untouched. You are not the clouds, you are the space in which they appear. When you begin to see this clearly, something changes. You stop reacting to every thought as if it requires action. You create a small distance, a gentle awareness. Instead of saying, "This is true," you begin to say, "This is a thought." That shift may seem small, but it changes your entire relationship with your mind. Consider how often your thoughts repeat the same patterns: doubt, fear, comparison, self-criticism. These are not new insights. They are echoes. They are habits formed over time, shaped by past experiences, by conditioning, by moments that no longer exist. Yet they continue to play, as if they are still relevant now. But you are not obligated to follow them. You can observe them without becoming them. The next time your mind tells you that you are not enough, pause. Instead of accepting it, notice it. Gently say, "This is a thought." Feel the difference. The thought may still be there, but it no longer has the same power. It is no longer shaping your identity in that moment. This does not mean the mind will suddenly become quiet. It will continue to produce thoughts. That is its nature. But your role begins to change. You are no longer caught inside the stream. You are sitting beside it, watching it flow. And in that space, something begins to emerge, a sense of stillness, a calm awareness that is not affected by every passing thought. That awareness is who you truly are, not the noise, not the commentary, not the constant evaluation. When you stop identifying with your thoughts, you also stop reacting to them automatically. You gain the ability to choose. You can decide which thoughts are useful and which are simply noise. You can allow fear to pass without letting it control your actions. You can notice self-doubt without letting it define your worth. This is not about becoming indifferent or detached from life. It is about becoming present. Because when you are no longer lost in thought, you begin to experience what is actually here. Your breath, your body, the moment unfolding in front of you. Life becomes less about what is happening in your mind and more about what is happening in reality. And in that shift there is peace, not because everything is perfect, but because you are no longer creating additional suffering through constant identification with your thoughts. You are no longer amplifying every fear, every doubt, every imagined outcome. So ask yourself gently without judgment, how many of your thoughts today have you accepted as truth without question? And what might change if you began to see them simply as passing events in the mind? You do not need to fight your thoughts. You do not need to silence them. You only need to recognize that they are not you. And in that recognition, something softens. The grip loosens. The mind becomes less of a prison and more of a space that you can move through freely. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind them. And the moment you begin to live from that awareness, everything starts to feel lighter, clearer, and more peaceful. 8. Surrender is not weakness. There is a common belief that surrender means giving up, that it is a sign of weakness, of failure, of losing control. From a young age, you are taught to push forward, to overcome resistance by trying harder. And in many situations, effort is necessary. But there is a point where effort turns into force, where persistence turns into struggle, and where holding on becomes the very thing that keeps you stuck. Surrender begins where force ends. It is not about abandoning your life. It is about recognizing when something is no longer flowing and having the awareness to stop pushing against it. It is about understanding that not everything can be shaped by effort alone. Imagine trying to swim against a strong current. The more you fight, the more exhausted you become. But if you stop resisting, if you allow yourself to float for a moment, something changes. You conserve your energy. You begin to see the direction of the flow, and from that place, you can move more wisely. This is what surrender feels like. It is not passive, it is not careless, it is deeply aware. It requires you to let go of the illusion that everything must happen according to your plan. It asks you to trust that life has its own rhythm, its own timing, its own intelligence that is not always visible to you in the moment. Often the hardest part of surrender is facing uncertainty. When you let go of control, you are stepping into the unknown. You are releasing the need to know exactly how things will unfold. And for the mind, this feels uncomfortable. It wants guarantees. It wants clarity before action. It wants assurance that everything will be okay. But life does not offer those guarantees. It offers the opportunity to trust. Think about a situation in your life where you have been trying to force an outcome. It may be a relationship, a career path, a decision that you keep revisiting. Notice how much energy it requires. The constant thinking, the emotional tension, the sense of urgency to make it work. Now imagine stepping back, not abandoning it completely, but loosening your grip, allowing space, letting things unfold without constant interference. At first, this may feel uncomfortable. There may be a sense of loss, as if you are no longer in control. But beneath that discomfort, there is something else, a subtle sense of relief, a quiet release of pressure. That is the beginning of surrender. And from that space, clarity often begins to appear. Because when you stop forcing, you start seeing. You begin to notice what is natural and what is not. You recognize which paths require constant struggle and which ones begin to open when you allow them. Surrender also means accepting what is already here, not in a passive way, but in an honest way. If something is uncertain, allowing it to be uncertain. If something is beyond your control, acknowledging that truth instead of resisting it. This acceptance does not make you weak, it makes you grounded. It frees you from the constant tension of trying to change what cannot be changed in that moment. And that freedom creates space for wiser action, because when you are no longer reacting from fear, you begin to respond from clarity. You make decisions not out of urgency, but out of understanding. You act not to control the outcome, but to align with what feels true. There is also a deeper layer to surrender. It is not only about external situations, but about your internal resistance. The resistance to feeling discomfort, the resistance to not knowing, the resistance to being vulnerable. When you allow yourself to feel what is present without trying to escape it, something shifts, the emotion moves, the tension softens, the experience passes more naturally. You realize that much of your suffering was not caused by the situation itself, but by your resistance to it. Surrender dissolves that resistance, and in doing so, it reveals a different kind of strength. Not the strength of force, but the strength of stability, the ability to remain present, steady, and open, even when life is uncertain. This is not something you achieve all at once. It is a practice, a moment-by-moment choice to soften instead of tighten, to allow instead of resist, to trust instead of control. So ask yourself gently, where in your life are you still fighting what is already happening? And what might change if you allowed yourself to step out of that struggle, even briefly? Surrender is not the end of effort. It is the end of unnecessary struggle. It is the point where you stop pushing against life and begin to move with it. And when you begin to move with life, something remarkable happens. Things that once felt blocked begin to shift, not because you forced them, but because you created space for them to unfold. That is the quiet power of letting go. 9. When you embrace the unknown, there is a quiet fear that lives beneath many of your decisions, and it often goes unnoticed because it disguises itself as logic, as caution, as responsibility. It is the fear of not knowing, the fear of stepping into a space where the outcome is unclear, where the ground beneath you does not feel solid, where the future cannot be predicted or controlled. So you hesitate, you wait for certainty, you delay decisions, you hold on to what is familiar, even when it no longer feels right. Because the known, even when uncomfortable, feels safer than the unknown. But here is something worth reflecting on gently. Has certainty ever truly existed in your life? Or has it always been something the mind tries to construct to feel secure? Life has always been uncertain. It has always been changing, shifting, unfolding in ways that could not be fully predicted. And yet you have made it through every moment so far. You have adapted, adjusted, learned, grown, even when things did not go according to plan. So the question is not whether uncertainty exists. It always does. The question is whether you can learn to be at peace within it. In Buddhist wisdom, this space of not knowing is not something to fear. It is something to understand. It is where transformation begins. Because when you no longer cling to fixed outcomes, you become open to possibilities you could not have imagined. Think about the times in your life when something unexpected happened. At first, it may have felt like disruption, like loss, like something going wrong. But with time, you may have seen that those moments led you somewhere new, somewhere that would not have been possible if everything had stayed the same. The unknown is not empty. It is full of potential. But to access that potential, you must be willing to release your need for control. This does not mean acting without thought or direction. It means moving forward without needing absolute certainty. It means trusting that you can handle what comes, even if you do not know exactly what it will be. There is a quiet strength in that trust. You begin to rely less on external guarantees and more on your ability to respond, to adapt, to remain steady even when things are unclear. And in that steadiness, fear begins to lose its hold. Fear often tells you that the unknown is dangerous, that it should be avoided, that you must stay where things are predictable. But in doing so, it keeps you confined to what you already know. Growth does not happen there. Growth happens when you step beyond what is familiar, not recklessly but with awareness. It happens when you allow yourself to move forward even without having all the answers. Try to notice where in your life you are waiting for certainty before taking a step. Is it in a decision you have been postponing? A change you feel drawn toward but hesitate to make? A part of your life that no longer feels aligned, yet you remain because it is known? Now ask yourself gently, what am I truly waiting for? Because certainty may never arrive in the way you expect. But clarity often comes through movement, through taking one step and then another, even when the full path is not visible. When you embrace the unknown, you are not losing control. You are releasing the illusion that control is necessary for peace. You are allowing life to unfold in a way that is not restricted by your expectations. And something begins to shift within you. You become less rigid, more open, more present. You begin to experience life as it is, rather than constantly measuring it against how you think it should be. And in that openness, there is a quiet sense of freedom. Not because everything is certain, but because you are no longer dependent on certainty to feel at ease. So the next time you find yourself resisting the unknown, pause, take a breath, and remind yourself that you have navigated uncertainty before, that you have the capacity to meet what comes, even if you cannot predict it. The unknown is not your enemy. It is the space where life continues to unfold. And when you stop fearing it, you begin to move with it rather than against it. 10. Let the moment lead you. There is a subtle habit that shapes much of your experience, and it often goes unnoticed because it feels normal. It is the habit of living slightly ahead of the present moment, always thinking about what comes next, always preparing, always planning, always trying to get somewhere else. Even when you are here, your mind is somewhere else, thinking about the future, replaying the past, trying to manage what has not yet happened. And in doing so, you miss something very simple, yet very important. This moment. Not as an idea, but as a direct experience. The breath you are taking right now, the space around you, the quiet presence that exists beneath all the thinking. Life is not happening in the future. It is not happening in the past. It is unfolding here moment by moment. And when you are not fully present, you are not truly experiencing it. You are managing it from a distance. Letting the moment lead you means returning to this presence. It means allowing yourself to experience what is actually here, instead of constantly trying to control what comes next. This does not mean you stop planning or thinking altogether. It means you are no longer lost in it. You use your mind when needed, but you are not trapped inside it. There is a difference between thinking and living. Thinking is useful. It helps you make decisions, solve problems, organize your life. But living happens in awareness, in direct experience, in the ability to be fully present with what is. When you let the moment lead you, something begins to change. You become less reactive, less rushed, less driven by anxiety about the future. Instead, you respond to what is actually happening. You listen more deeply. You act more clearly. You move with a sense of ease rather than pressure. This does not mean life becomes perfect. Challenges still arise. Uncertainty still exists, but your relationship with it changes. You are no longer trying to control every detail. You are meeting each moment as it comes. Imagine walking through a path without constantly checking the map. You are still aware of your direction, but you are also paying attention to where you are stepping. You notice the details. You adjust naturally. You respond to what appears. This is how life begins to feel when you are present. You are no longer forcing your way forward. You are allowing the path to reveal itself as you move. Try something simple. Right now, bring your attention to your breath. Do not change it. Just notice it. The inhale, the exhale, the natural rhythm. Then notice your body, the way it feels, the contact with the surface you are sitting or standing on. This is the present moment. Nothing extra is needed. No analysis, no planning, just awareness. From this place, your mind may still think, but it no longer dominates your experience. It becomes a tool, not the center of your reality. And when you live this way, decisions become clearer. Not because you have analyzed every possibility, but because you are connected to what is real, what is happening now. You begin to trust your responses more. You act with more intention. You feel less overwhelmed because you are not carrying the weight of imagined futures. Letting the moment lead you is a form of surrender, but also a form of intelligence. It is aligning yourself with the natural flow of life rather than resisting it. So ask yourself gently, How often am I truly here, fully present in this moment? And what might change if I allowed myself to experience life as it unfolds, instead of constantly trying to manage it? Because when you return to the present, something becomes clear. There is nothing missing here, nothing incomplete, only this moment, exactly as it is. And in learning to be with it, you discover a quiet sense of peace that does not depend on what comes next. Letting go is not something you do once, it is something you return to again and again in small, quiet moments throughout your life. Each time you release the need to control, each time you soften instead of resist, each time you choose presence over pressure, something begins to shift within you. You feel lighter, clearer, more at ease. And slowly, almost without noticing, life begins to flow in a different way. Not because everything becomes perfect, but because you are no longer holding it so tightly. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on what you might be ready to release. And if you found value here, consider subscribing to Mindfulness, where we explore simple, grounded ways to find peace, clarity, and balance in everyday life. You can also share your thoughts below. Your journey may help someone else feel less alone.